What's going on, guys? My name is Aiman. I have a ukulele. I got a delivery. My sister ordered, right, sister? Sister ordered. Let me play this. Video and I like it. Let's just start this. Is there the coin? Wait. Okay, let's just start this. Because my friend love it, I love it very much. My name's Aiman. Possible. Okay, sorry about that. Let's continue. Very much, and I love subscribers. Thank you for subscribing me. Hey, what are you doing? Nothing. And please like the video, and I wish, and please comment to get Okay, so that's the end. Over here is the video. 15 worst disaster cruise ship. Let's get to it.
15 worst cruise ship disasters. Number 15, MV Wilhelm Gustloff sinking. It was originally a German military transport ship that was constructed as a cruise ship. The cruise liner provided cultural and recreational activities as well as concerts and holiday trips. It sunk on January 30, 1945, after it was torpedoed by a Soviet submarine during Operation Hannibal. Operation Hannibal targeted many ships, including the Goya, General von Steuben, and 158 other vessels during a 5-month period. This disaster caused many casualties, killing an estimated 9,400 people on board. Nearly most of them killed were civilians, and 5,000 of those were children. Number 14, Royal Caribbean Maritime Sickness. The 10-day journey of the cruise liner had to be cut short when passengers and crew started developing symptoms of diarrhea. Vomiting and lack of appetite were among one of the worst cases the passengers were experiencing. The cause of the illness was unclear, but the outbreak quickly spread, affecting at least 850 people of the 4,000 passengers. Anything from noroviruses to filthy conditions were suspected causes of the sickness. The company provided a 50% refund and a 50% credit for future cruises. However, I'm pretty sure these guests won't be going on a cruise anytime soon. Number 13. Norwegian Dawn. This cruise ship has encountered several incidents over the last years, producing disastrous effects for their guests. 4 passengers were slightly injured after rough sailing damaged a few windows and decks on the 9th and 10th floor. The ship also lost all power when returning to Miami. All 2,000 passengers during the power outage had to endure no running water, no electricity, no toilet services, and no air conditioning. The recent incident was a minor malfunction in the ship's steering, causing the cruise liner to drift off course and float into the sea with a high tide. Thankfully, there was no damage done to the ship. Number 12. Fred Olsen Cruise Ship. When passenger Frank Stanton embarked on the cruise liner for a fun vacation, he had no idea how bad it would go. He had to be airlifted after he became extremely sick and spent a total of 12 weeks in the hospital. Turns out he had Legionnaire's disease, which is a respiratory disease. It's a severe form of pneumonia. The cruise line said there was no evidence that he contracted the disease while on board, but a sickness like this caused a small panic for other guests traveling on the ship. Number 11. Estonia sinking. After encountering stormy weather with waves reaching up to 15 to 20 feet, the cruise liner devastatingly sank, trapping passengers in the ship. Some passengers that were able to make it onto lifeboats later drowned or died from hypothermia while waiting for rescue. There were only 137 survivors that were rescued from the aftermath. The incident was blamed on stormy weather and it was ruled an accident. The sinking of the cruise ship had promoted many new safety precautions to practice during violent storms. Number 10. Carnival Splendor Fire. A rapid fire had quickly spread in the engine room, cutting all electrical power. Although no one was injured, the crew was unable to restore power, leaving all 4,500 people aboard helpless. Without power restoration for refrigeration and air conditioning, the U.S. Navy had to deliver rations to the ship. The cruise liner arrived in San Diego after it received aid and was towed to the rest of its destination. The poor guests received refunds on their tickets and a free cruise voucher to make up for the incident and short trip. Well, I guess a free cruise does sound nice. Number 9. Anthem of the Seas lawsuit. A lawsuit was filed against the Royal Caribbean after a passenger was seriously injured during a winter storm. The storm rocked the ship so violently that Bruce Simpson was flung at least 18 feet against his cabin door and was knocked unconscious. He is seeking compensation and punitive damages, claiming it was chaotic as he received treatment and there were no insufficient emergency personnel available for guests. No one else was severely injured, and the cruise liner issued a voucher to guests 50% of what they paid for having to endure the storm. After all, the cruise ship did make a risky choice to follow through sailing, despite weather forecasts. Who do you think should be held responsible? Number 8. Seaborne Spirit Attack. This cruise ship got off lucky. About 100 miles off the coast of Somalia, pirates fired at the luxury ship with grenades and machine guns in an effort to invade and rob it. The 10,000-ton ship was able to escape unscathed, and no one was seriously hurt. Piracy along Somalia's coast is actually quite common. Several ships doing that course have been reported to be attacked, hijacked, and ransomed. That's pretty scary. Just be sure to steer away from the coast when going on a cruise. Number 7. Carnival Ecstasy Horror. It's a vacation that's turned into a nightmare. Passengers aboard the cruise ship were shocked when they saw blood pouring down the elevators. Some people took photos while others ran away in horror. A spokesperson for Carnival announced a crew member died while working on the elevator. It was unclear on how he died. It was speculated that he was inside or behind the wall when the elevator came down. I can't imagine the grotesque sight taken there. The poor worker and the passengers too. Some guests stated that their supposed happy, memorable trip turned into unforgettable sadness. Number 6. P&O Cruises drug death. Diane Brimble died aboard a P&O cruise ship after she was slipped GHB in her drink. The combination of the drug and alcohol led to her death, and it was reported that she was neglected by passengers during the time she was under the influence. Her death prompted a widespread investigation about the safety of the cruise line and other ships, which resulted in more stricter security measures. This includes surveillance cameras through the ships and security sniffing dogs. When traveling aboard cruise ships, one should take safety precautions such as telling someone where you are, bringing a friend along, and keeping an eye on all your food and beverages. Number 5. Costa Concordia sinking. After colliding with an underwater rock obstruction, this Italian cruise ship capsized and sank. The ship was headed to the Mediterranean with 4,000 people on board. As passengers were dining, the boat struck a reef which caused a 160-foot gash in the porthole. Water quickly filled the engine room, cutting off electricity and propulsion. It took over an hour for the ship to sink, killing 32 people. Most of the victims drowned aboard the ship either fell or jumped out trying to save themselves. Captain Francisco Schettino was sentenced to 16 years for manslaughter and abandoning sinking ship. Number 4. Carnival Caribbean cruise rape. It's the last thing any parent wants to think about. What was supposed to be a trip full of family fun turned for the worst when a 14-year-old girl was raped aboard. The girl states the incident happened at night when she was having trouble sleeping. She left the cabin and went to the top deck of the ship to write in her journal where she was raped by one of the employees. Ships registered in foreign countries have different laws and aren't subjected to the same laws as the United States. The offender was charged and sentenced to 37 months in jail, which doesn't seem like a lengthy sentence to offer comfort to the victim and her family. Number 3. Eastern Star sinking. The Eastern Star cruise ship was en route to Yangtze, where it sank after a terrible storm. The passengers were mostly senior citizens, and only 14 survived out of the 460 passengers on board. Search crews were only able to recover 434 bodies, and 8 remain missing. This sinking has been China's deadliest disaster in almost 70 years. Search crews are still looking for the remaining bodies, and family members are hopeful to be reunited with their loved ones. Number 2. MV Lahola sinking. It's thought to be the second worst world non-military disaster in maritime history. The ship was overcrowded when it set sail and capsized when rough seas and winds threw passengers into the sea. At least 1,863 people died, and due to a large amount of unticketed passengers, the numbers may be higher. There were 70 victims whose gender could not be identified, and the deceased victims were from different countries. Number 1. The sinking of Titanic. The sinking of Titanic is the deadliest commercial peacetime maritime disaster in history. The RSM Titanic was a British luxury passenger cruise liner that sank in the North Atlantic Ocean. The ship carried aboard one of the wealthiest people in Europe en route to North America for a better life. Titanic sunk after striking an iceberg 4 days into its journey. A disproportionate number of men were left stranded on the luxury liner since children and women were the first to load on the lifeboats. There were only 20 lifeboats on board, sufficient enough for only 1,178 people. In all, over 3,000 people perished in the sinking from drowning or hypothermia.
Subscribe for more videos.
So yeah, if you want 3 things, what video? If you want 3 things, just comment down below. Say that I want 3 things. If you are selected, I will comment you. If none of you selected, then there's a bad luck for you. Then bye bye. Ten 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 ten. Dun dun dun.